Have you ever stood in a room full of people, music playing, laughter all around, yet somehow you felt like a ghost? You nod, you smile, you say the right things, but inside, it's like no one really sees you. You feel surrounded, but unseen, connected, but disconnected. Why does this happen? Why can we feel so alone, even in a crowd? Today, we'll uncover the hidden psychology behind that loneliness, and what it reveals about our deepest human need, to be truly known. Feeling alone in a crowd isn't a rare quirk, it's a universal human experience. Psychologists call it perceived social isolation. Unlike physical isolation, which is about being alone, this is about feeling alone, even when surrounded by people. It's not about quantity of connections, but the quality of emotional resonance. You might have friends, followers, co-workers, but if none of those bonds allow you to be seen for who you really are, your brain still registers loneliness. This feeling taps into a primal part of our biology. Humans are wired for connection, real, emotional connection. Our nervous system evolved to feel safe when we belong, and threatened when we don't. So when we're surrounded by people but emotionally unseen, our body sends a danger signal. Something's missing. This isn't weakness, it's wiring. Loneliness triggers the same stress pathways as physical pain. In fact, brain scans show that emotional isolation activates the anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that lights up when we're hurt physically. So when you say it hurts to feel unseen, your brain means that literally. But where does this pattern begin? Why do some people feel unseen even in loving environments, while others feel secure and connected? To understand that, we have to go back to where our sense of being seen first takes shape. Every human being enters the world with a simple need: to be recognized. When we're babies, we depend on our caregivers, not just for food or comfort, but for emotional mirroring. When a parent meets a baby's eyes and reflects their joy, their sadness, the child learns, my feelings matter. That's the seed of emotional visibility. But not every child gets that reflection. Some grow up in homes where emotions were minimized, where "don't cry" was said more often than "I see you." Others had to grow up too fast, becoming caretakers for parents, or performing perfection just to earn approval. In psychology, this is often called the false self, a version of us built for acceptance, not authenticity. The child learns, if I hide my sadness, I'll be loved. If I stay cheerful, people won't leave. If I become useful, I'll matter. And so the performance begins. That false self can thrive in crowds. It knows exactly how to act, what to say, how to make everyone comfortable. But after the laughter fades, there's an ache, a quiet whisper, asking, if they love me, but not the real me, am I still loved? That's the root of loneliness in crowds. You're seen, but not known. You're present, but performing. You belong, but only conditionally. And as adults, we carry that invisible child everywhere we go, to the office, to social events, even to relationships, still searching for someone to say, I see you, I get you. You can stop pretending now. So how do you know if you're carrying this quiet loneliness, even when life looks socially full? Here are some common signs that you feel alone in crowds. Sign 1. You feel drained after social interactions. Even when nothing went wrong, you leave feeling exhausted. That's because performing connection is tiring. It costs emotional energy to maintain a version of yourself that isn't entirely real. Sign 2. You crave deep conversation but settle for small talk. You long for meaning, but fear scaring people away with your depth. So you talk about weather, work, or trends, while your soul aches for intimacy. Sign 3. You feel unseen or misunderstood. You notice people don't get you, or only like the parts you show. This often creates an internal tug-of-war between visibility and safety. Sign 4. You overanalyze social situations. After a gathering, you replay conversations. Did I say too much? Was I awkward? That inner critic is often your younger self trying to protect you from rejection. Sign 5. You struggle to be vulnerable. You can listen deeply to others, but when it's your turn to open up, you freeze or deflect. You fear that honesty might push people away. Sign 6. You feel connected online, but empty afterward. Digital validation gives momentary relief, but not fulfillment. Social media shows faces, not hearts, and our brains can't substitute likes for genuine intimacy. Sign 7. You people please to avoid feeling alone. You adapt, agree, or laugh at things you don't find funny, just to maintain connection. even if it costs authenticity. Sign 8. You often feel like an outsider. No matter the group, you sense you don't fully belong. This can be a remnant of emotional neglect. When belonging once felt conditional, it's hard to trust it's real. Sign 9. You hide pain behind humor or achievement. You distract yourself by staying on the funny one, the strong one, the busy one. Anything to avoid the silence that might expose your loneliness. Sign 10. You feel like a ghost in your own life. Even surrounded by people, you sense a quiet disconnection, as if you're watching life from behind glass. These signs don't mean you're broken. They mean you've adapted beautifully to survive emotional invisibility. But survival isn't the same as connection. Psychologist John Cacioppo, who dedicated his life to studying loneliness, described it as a biological warning signal, much like hunger or thirst. When we lack connection, our brain activates a stress response, pushing us to seek belonging. Chronic loneliness, however, rewires that system. The brain becomes hypervigilant to social threat. We start to interpret neutral interactions as rejection, making genuine connection harder. In one Harvard study, lonely people showed increased amygdala activity, the brain's fear center, even in casual social settings. That means our nervous system literally perceives people as potential pain. Another study from the University of Chicago found that loneliness increases cortisol, the stress hormone, and suppresses immune function. Over time, emotional isolation can even predict early mortality. It's as damaging to our health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Psychologically, this state is linked to attachment theory. If your early caregivers were inconsistent, sometimes warm, sometimes distant, your nervous system learned that connection isn't safe. As adults, this becomes anxious or avoidant attachment, craving intimacy, but fearing rejection. So when you stand in that crowded room, your body might be saying, connection is dangerous. It's not that you don't belong, it's that your brain still remembers what it felt like not to. Now for the hardest part, the dark truth behind all of this. When we go long enough feeling unseen, we start to believe we're not worth seeing. Loneliness turns inward. What begins as emotional hunger becomes shame. We stop expecting to be understood. We shrink our stories, censor our feelings, and slowly disappear behind the mask we built to survive. Over time, this creates an identity crisis. Who am I, beneath what everyone else expects? You might succeed, impress, even inspire others, but deep down, you know they're applauding the performance, not the person. And here's the tragedy. The more invisible you feel, the more invisible you become. We withdraw, we smile less. Our body language closes off, sending subtle cues that push others away, confirming the very isolation we feared. Psychologists call this the loneliness loop. We crave connection gives, we fear rejection gives, we hide gives, we get lonelier gives, and the loop tightens. And that loop can last years, even decades, until something breaks it. So how do we break it? How do we go from invisible to seen, from alone to connected? It starts small, not by finding new people, but by finding yourself again. Step 1. Reconnect with your inner truth. Ask yourself, what parts of me do I hide to be accepted? Write them down. Speak them in therapy. Name them out loud, because what's named can be healed. Step 2. Practice micro-vulnerability. You don't have to share your whole story, just one honest moment. I've actually been struggling lately. I'm not okay today. Each small truth tells your nervous system it's safe to be real. Step 3. Seek depth, not popularity. You don't need many people to feel connected, just a few who see you clearly. Connection isn't measured in numbers, but in honesty per conversation. Step 4. Heal the inner child. That lonely child inside you still waits to be seen. You can become the adult who finally says, I see you. You matter. Step 5. Let silence connect you. Sometimes connection isn't in words, it's in presence. Eye contact, listening, sitting beside someone without needing to perform. You don't need to be more interesting to be loved, you just need to be real. If you've ever felt alone in a crowd, please know it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've spent too long pretending to be what the world needed, and not enough time being who you are. You were never meant to be invisible. You were meant to be known. And that begins the moment you stop hiding. So next time you're surrounded by people and feel unseen, remember this. You don't need everyone to see you. You just need someone who can. And that someone can even be you. Because the moment you start showing up as your authentic self, The right people will finally recognize you, not the mask, but the heart behind it. And that's how you stop feeling alone in crowds, not by finding more people, but by finding your real self and letting it be seen.